Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to whomever, whichever, however, wherever way you shall be watching this video, if you should so choose to watch this video. And if you choose to watch this video, I appreciate you tuning in and sticking around for this short period of time. In doing so, your time is precious and valuable, and you chose to spend it here watching this video of me talking for some. Today's subject video is going to be what expressions mean to me, meaning facial expressions. Expressions in general can be a broad category or a broad topic, but I'm focusing it more on just like your facial expressions. So, what does your facial expressions mean to me? Or what does facial expressions mean to me? Well, you can say it establishes a baseline to for someone to understand, maybe, or to get a general understanding of someone's mood at that point in time. So obviously you've seen somebody eyes down, look more aggressive, angry. You might assume they're angry, or if they're like pouty eyes or whatnot, you maybe think they're sad, maybe dealing with something stressful, and it's reflecting in their facial expression in that way. Or maybe someone has more of a neutral expression, in which they may not be expressing anything in particular. So with facial expressions, we can pick up on the vibe of that individual relatively quick. But again, it relies on an assumption. And unfortunately, assumptions can be a bad thing to make of somebody, just if solely basing it on facial expressions. Now, mind you, it is a good way to maybe try to get an initial understanding of someone's mood or their current state, but ideally, you wouldn't want to go into the habit of assuming that they're in that particular mood. So, as an example, me personally, if I'm sad or feeling depressed, down, and I'm not like actively uh, expressing it in a more somber way, meaning I'm not actually like crying or whatnot, but more in a more neutral state for me personally, it may look like I'm just in a neutral state. Or depending on um, the conditions of the environment, maybe if it's bright out, the sun's out, I may look angry, but I'm not angry. Um, for me, what can happen is sometimes people assume they see me, they think I'm angry. I'm not. Um, I have more of a neutral face, I would say. That's more of my neutral face than anything. And when I'm sad, down, and depressed, it can be the same, with a little bit of a difference. Maybe more noticeably sadder, but not by much. Unfortunately, I think that is kind of like communicated in someone else's brain differently. So they may think, well, probably just doesn't want to be bothered, or just, it seems fine. But that's usually not the case for me personally, especially as of late. Um, so if somebody who doesn't know me were to approach me or uh, and make an assumption based on my mood, just from my facial expressions, they may say, "Oh, I don't know, you seem neutral," or maybe just like, "Yeah, I don't know." When in reality, I may be sad or depressed, or dealing with anxiety or something, but I don't visually express it um, a lot, basically, or very expressively, for lack of a better term. But um, I will communicate it if something's bothering me. I have a thing for me personally is I do believe that you shouldn't be lying to yourself. You shouldn't say, hey, yeah, I'm fine, putting on a fake smiley face when you're not. There's a saying, fake it till you make it. But I think when it comes to whatever it is that you're dealing with, um, lying to yourself is not healthy for you, and you shouldn't have to put on a facade to pretend like everything's okay, because you're suppressing how you're really feeling for the sake of the environment, or the sake of your environment that you're in. That is to say that you should be, say, if you're sad and you're crying and whatnot, you should be crying everywhere, at every time, every point in time. Again, if that's the case, you should definitely try to get some comfort, talk to somebody in that case, because clearly you're dealing with something pretty traumatic for you personally. You can be sad if it's something that would bring tears to someone's eyes. You don't necessarily have to express it if you're not fully comfortable in doing so. But at the same time, you can, for the sake of not suppressing or putting on a facade for yourself, you can still express it subtly, in which others can still pick up on it. So they may ask or inquire, or maybe not, or just see it and then ignore you, or what have you. And I think that's a habit that we find ourselves getting into more often than not, just when we, either intentionally or not, whether we want to or not, if we've been so used to it or so accustomed to making that split-second judgment based on that visual observation. So one thing, you just kind of want to go into a conversation with somebody in more of a neutral tone than anything else, than try to make an assumption like, oh, he's angry, I don't want to talk to him, or he seems angry, I'm gonna have to talk to him in this way, or her in that way. It's more just talk to that person normally, like how you would normally talk to somebody, without an assumption of something. And you can confirm it further if you're saying it to yourself, he seems angry, but you're not letting that assumption influence your decision to make that assumption, or to influence how you communicate or how you deal with that conversation, deal with that experience with that person, based on how they're talking as well. That's another level to gauge someone's current state, current mood, whatnot. So if someone looks angry and you talk to them, he's talking loudly and aggressively, and then likely he's angry, or she's angry. Again, it's facial expressions especially can be powerful when you can read them correctly, or if you can read them appropriately if done so correctly, or done so in a manner that's more considerate to them, and to yourself especially. But it's something that you, obviously, in your day-to-day, that you pretty much notice yourself, that you may find yourself making, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's today's subject. If you stuck around, I appreciate you watching this video. Remember that you are cherished, valued, loved. Whatever it is that you're going through, I want to tell you that you're not alone. Someone else is going through the same thing as you are. Do not let your mind wander in a direction where it isolates you further, or it entraps you, or accompanies more negative thinking. Try to take active steps, whether that be baby steps, to get yourself out of that somehow. Either means taking a walk, talking to someone, taking part in a hobby that you like, anything to take your mind off something that's bothering you. Especially for, like, as an example, for me personally, it's just been more doing research or catching up on some work-related educational learning and more other things as well. Again, I appreciate you tuning in, watching this video. Hope you have a great rest of your day. If the day is not going great for you, tomorrow's a new day. It's a new opportunity. To where it can be a complete 180, or it can be the best darn day that you can ever have in your entire life. You never know. Just don't go into that new day with an assumption that it's going to be terrible. Just think of it as it's a new chapter for you. Again, I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for watching, and you have a great rest of your day. Have a good night. Goodbye.